kitchens and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblue, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. Brand new week. Busy week ahead. South Carolina Clemson baseball tomorrow night up at DKS. We'll be up there for that. Game 3 of their series. And, of course, South Carolina won the first 2 walk-off fashion. Both of those games, one in Columbia, one in Greenville. So Clemson will try and salvage one game in the series tomorrow night. Neither side announcing a starting pitcher today when they put out their pregame notes. It's going to be waiting to see tomorrow, though Mark Kingston did say that for his team, it'll basically be Johnny Holstaff because they've mixed things up in their pitching staff. They used a bunch of people this weekend against Mississippi State, and Mahoney being out for the rest of the season, that didn't help. So they're just going to roll a bunch of pitchers out there against Clemson. It'll likely be a bullpen game for both teams tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday night, USC football coach Shane Beamer will be with us here on Sports Talk at 6:30. We look forward to that. However, we're coming off a very busy weekend with baseball and NASCAR at Darlington. Got all that to talk about tonight, along with your phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. So, Chris, I was over at the Mississippi State University of California baseball series over the weekend. You knew that was coming. University
Might want to
of
fill
California.
our listeners in, Phil, just in case, because since you are in Columbia, certainly you know the name of the university over there.
Well, yes, I do. And you would think the president of the university would know it as well. Everybody knows the mistake that he made in graduation ceremony on Friday afternoon, where he referred to it as now you're a graduate of the University of California. But more of that has that thing has mushroomed into a huge story, because as I was leaving the homestead heading downtown, Channel 10 in Columbia had an interview. I'm assuming it was an exclusive interview with Bob Caslin, in which, if I understood it right, he admitted to plagiarism in his speech, that he had taken parts of the speech from somewhere else and used that without giving credit to wherever he got it. Now, did that speech include the word California in there? Was he just so tuned in to what he was reading rather than what was in his mind and heart that he just said what anything in front of him he was going to say? I don't know. And as he was asked by the reporter if somebody at USC, a student, had turned in a paper that was plagiarized or that had plagiarism in it, had been found guilty of plagiarism, would they not be expelled from the university? And he said, in all likelihood, they would. And he said that if the Board of Trustees has lost confidence in him, he would tender his resignation, or he would offer his resignation. So this thing has mushroomed into, this is a news story, not necessarily a sports story, though the status of the presidency of any major university has an impact on the sports side as well. So that's something that we now have to kind of pay attention to. I don't know what the reaction from the Board of Trustees is at this point, if there's enough of them who are upset. This goes back to the whole Frank Martin fiasco,
right.
where you had board members who took advantage of that to want to stick it to Caslin. This might be that opportunity for those who want to get him off, get him out of USC, to actually push this issue and make that happen, Chris.
Has there been a worse, in terms of media relations, PR, the whole 9 yards, a worse 9 months for the University of South Carolina, taking the steroid scandal of the 80s out of the mix? But from what we have seen with regards to Will Muschamp getting fired, the former players going to bat for Shane Beamer, the Frank Martin deal that we touched on, even with Coach last week when he was on the program. Darla Moore not being acknowledged anywhere close to the way she should, considering the amount of money that she has pumped into the university over the years. And now you have the president who, during graduation, references another university and may have plagiarized his speech. I mean, the PR disaster that is going on in Columbia is beyond belief right now.
Not really. It's Columbia. No, seriously.
I'm not talking about the ones underneath the dome. I'm just talking about the university itself.
Well, the two are connected. That's the unfortunate part. Historically, the two are connected. And I was thinking about this too. It's funny he used California because that really has to irritate Gamecock people because of the battle with Southern Cal over the SC and how Southern Cal won a federal lawsuit or a federal ruling in its favor back in 2010 to force USC to stop using the interlocking SC because the judge ruled in Southern Cal's favor. And my thought is, USC, and that's South Carolina, for those of you who want to take issue with it. USC is South Carolina, not U of SC, not anything else. And I mean, if you are a citizen of this state and you're into sports, or if you're not, if you're a graduate of USC, I mean, you should be inflamed that they, first of all, allowed Southern Cal to dictate all this. And then secondly, in the last few years, whoever it is at USC made the bonehead decision to use the word "of" as part of the identification, the official identification from an educational standpoint. Now, the athletic department still kind of uses USC some, but the university in its official literature, U of SC, I just think that's preposterous. That's just so stupid. I can't think of anything more stupid when it comes to the branding of a school. And to insert a preposition in your official name just makes no sense.
Unless you're haughty-taughty like Ohio State and you have to be referred to as the Ohio State University, but you're spot on with this.
But that sounds better. The Ohio State sounds better than the University of South Carolina. Would you agree with that?
No, I would agree. I'm totally on board with this. The U of SC never made any sense. And South Carolina has had this issue within the athletic department for years, Phil, because not only do they battle Southern California for the rights to 3 letters to be able to brand their athletic department, they're also dealing with probably 49 other states that refer to the University of North Carolina as Carolina. The only state I think that probably profits off of saying Carolina and meaning South Carolina is here inside the Palmetto State borders. But what do we care? That's the people we talk to. But for the most part, the athletic department has had a really, really hard time of trying to brand themselves for years. You've got the baseball team with a different looking logo than the football squad has. I mean, it's an interesting setup in terms of marketing for the University of South Carolina for sure.
Well, I think it's unfortunate. I really do. I think it's unfortunate that our state named university. Now, Clemson people, they believe they're the state university, and that's fine. But let's be honest. The University of South Carolina, USC, was established first as the state university, and it should be known as USC. It was established 79 years ahead of Southern Cal. You had a 79-year head start to get everything in order and set your claim to your rightful name. And you just capitulated. Because you know what? Just lack of leadership, lack of spine, lack of, I don't know what else they're lacking over there. Lacking a lot, I guess, when it comes to this kind of stuff. They got influenced by television because they allowed Keith Jackson and all the television announcers who live in Southern California and in love with the Trojans to refer to them as USC or SC, whatever the case may be. And they let that dictate their feelings. When the people that they should be concerned about more than anybody else are the 3-4 million people in the state of South Carolina, half of which are Gamecock fans or graduates who should and probably want their school referred to as USC.
Absolutely.
Right? I would think so. Maybe there's a new breed of student coming through now. Maybe today's graduates love the fact they've got a U and an of in their diploma, I guess maybe that looks good, cool in digital form, but it's not it's not acceptable in my eyes.
Well, one thing I think we can both agree upon is nobody graduating from Columbia wants to be called the University of California. I think we're pretty set on that.
The Bears up in Berkeley, even. Okay. Yeah, Pat makes a good note here too. The guy that a lot of people wanted to be the new president before Caslen, William Tate, was just hired as the new guy at LSU. So there you go. He's out the door. So we'll see what happens here. I only bring this up on Sports Talk because it could have ramifications. If indeed there's a change in the presidency as a result of this, it could have some ramifications in the sports world. Though, look, Shane Beamer's new, hired, got a brand new contract. He's good as gold. Frank Martin with a new president coming in. Obviously, Caslen wanted him gone. And this could be a breath of fresh air from Martin if a new guy comes in, if Caslen leaves and a new guy comes in. Don Staley has nothing to worry about. She runs the place. And Mark Kingston's doing fine, gets his team into the tournament in decent shape, which he thinks they will. And then Ray Tanner, I think Ray is still got enough support on the board to where he's fine, regardless of who the new president would be if there's a new president. I mean, we're talking here out of school, and it may not even come down to that. 888-898-2525 is our phone number. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Plenty of time for your phone calls tonight. Love to hear from you about the weekend developments. I was at South Carolina, Mississippi State over the weekend. Gamecocks got a very needed win yesterday in extras, walking off Mississippi State. You never know in baseball who your hero is going to be, Chris, because Sunday, two guys, well, one in particular, Jeff Heinrich, who had not had an at-bat since back in the Arkansas series and hadn't played, I don't think, hardly at all. He gets inserted into the game, and he gets the RBI to tie the game, and then he gets on base in the 11th to score the winning run. And the guy that drove him in, David Mendham, he had been benched on Saturday for a variety of reasons. I mean, performance-related and other things with the team, but they put him back in at DH yesterday, and he hits a home run early, gets him on the board early, on top early, then he gets the game-winning hit in the 11th. So you just never know where your heroes are going to come from in baseball.
It's a humbling game, but it is also a remarkable and wonderful game because you're right, Phil. Guys who haven't had an at-bat in 2-3 weeks can come in a clutch situation, maybe a little more relaxed, maybe extremely nervous, and they close their eyes and just swing the bat at the right time. But nonetheless, just baseball is such a great game to follow because you never know what you're going to see, and it's true in baseball probably more so than any other sport. You go to a game, you'll see something that you had never seen before. I'm sure Clemson fans don't want to relive the bottom of the fourth inning from yesterday ever again. They had a 6-0 lead. Georgia Tech scores 7 times to take the lead and ultimately sweep that series, coming off a sweep for Clemson against one of the top teams in the country and an Omaha team perhaps in Louisville. So just a crazy, crazy weekend for baseball. I am confused about something, and maybe we can get into this after the break. But if I'm not mistaken, wasn't South Carolina 15th in the RPI last week?
Correct.
They moved up to 12 after going 1-2 against Mississippi State. Is that what I'm to glean?
Well, they had a 2-2 week because they had the midweek win. But, they played Mississippi State number 4 in the country. Their RPI was in single digits. So that's how the RPI works. You can lose to
win?
No, not necessarily. You just have to play them.
That to me makes no sense.
Yeah, you just have to play them.
Shouldn't you have to win those games? I mean, South Carolina's schedule has been just off the charts good. And if that's the case, they probably should be a much higher RPI team than they are if all you have to do is schedule teams like Texas, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, LSU, whatever the case may be. But to me, for the RPI to have any teeth whatsoever, not only should you have to play tough teams, but you should have to win those games, I would think, to move up.
You would think winning would be a big part of the equation. Mm-hmm. But it's not with the RPI. The schedule, strength of schedule, how your opponent's doing, how your opponents are doing, all factors into that. It's a little bit weird. I'll give you that. And we could not go to Darlington because of the strict rules from NASCAR related to how long it's been since we were vaccinated, so we couldn't go. I watched it as much as I could live on television. You covered the whole thing from away, but you kept an eye on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, Martin Truex Jr. just dialed in. What can you say? They were just dialed in. They had the right setup at the right place, and they dominated. Really lead about 230, 240 laps.
Yeah, he led on about 90% of the race. And quite frankly, Phil, it's the modern day. He led 248 laps to be exact. It's the modern day Ned Jarrett at Darlington. You're not going to win a race ever again by 14 laps the way he did back in the 60s, but about as close to a, open up an old can of you-know-what. That's what Martin Truex did yesterday. He just absolutely dominated that race. And at the end of stage 2, he was so far out in front. He had a 13-second lead on, I believe it was his teammate, Kyle Busch, who finished second in stage 2. By the time he crossed the start-finish line to wrap up the win in stage 2, Kyle Busch was just midway through the backstretch. To give you an idea, if you've been to Darlington, that's the highway side now as opposed to the way it once was. That used to be the front stretch. But imagine the guy's crossing the start-finish line, and halfway on the other side of the track is the rest of the field. That's how good he was yesterday. And if you're a NASCAR fan and one that does not like Martin Truex, you better get used to this, because the way the setup is now with the 750 horsepower, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds here because I'll get over my skis a bit, but with the 750 horsepower and the low downforce package, which they ran yesterday, and all 3 of his races this season have come on intermediate tracks at Phoenix and, gosh, where was his other one? I'd have to go back and double check, but he won at Phoenix and then also won at Darlington yesterday, have been utilizing this package. And he said afterwards, he loves it. And you look into the playoffs, Phil, 5 of the 10 races will be on intermediate tracks with his similar package, including the finale at Phoenix. Right now, Martin Truex has to be, and this is not a big surprise, but he has to be the odds-on favorite to win this year's championship.
All right. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Did you know that since 2002, more than 2.1 million lottery-funded scholarships, such as Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellows, have been awarded to South Carolina students? Learn more about the South Carolina Education's Lottery's impact at seducationlottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. Back in a moment.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology at Florence Darlington Technical College specializes in sophisticated manufacturing services and workforce development training. The SIMT offers rapid prototyping, additive manufacturing, advanced machining, and business incubation services to clients from across the state and nation, plus social media listening services and rentals of conferencing and training spaces. The SIMT also houses an 800-seat auditorium, a conference center that can seat more than 1,200 for dinner or a luncheon, and numerous classroom spaces with state-of-the-art presentation technologies. Visit our website at simt.com or call 866-304-7468 for more information. The SIMT, technology to grow your business.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome to Tiny Stories with me, Tina Tiny. Today we're with Dirk, a didgeridoo artist.
Sorry, just warming up my lips.
So glad we're wearing masks.
I won $4 on Powerball, invested it all to crowdfund my first album.
Wow, a whole album of that.
I'm calling it Didgeridoo-Da-Day.
You're freaking me out, Dirk.
This one's for you, Tina.
And that's all from the South Carolina Education Lottery. Tell your tiny story at tellyourtinystory.com.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All of us love sports, but not all sports are created equal. College sports have big budgets, dedicated alumni networks, and corporate sponsorships. Professional sports have even deeper pockets, millionaire owners, lucrative TV and radio deals, and merchandise sales. High school sports have you. Everyone agrees high school sports give us plenty of reasons to cheer. And now's a great time for us to give back. Supporting your hometown high school won't cost you much, but it will go a long way to ensuring the games we love the most are here to stay. South Carolina high school sports. They're good for our kids, good for our community, and best of all, they're good for you.
This message presented by the South Carolina High School League and the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, if there's one thing baseball fans love as much as their teams, it's being on the water.
That's right, Phil. DNR wants to remind boaters to file a float plan before you go in the water this summer. Let family or friends know where you're going and when you plan to return. Be specific and always wear your life jacket. It just might save your life. Take a boater education course and have a great summer.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit maincoursesc.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network here on this Monday night. Got some news notes we'll be getting to, and we've got a new poll question of the week. We've got recruiting as well. This quick baseball note from John Whittle of the Big Spur, who knows everything about Gamecock baseball. 3 players have hit the transfer portal, John. Outfielder Brandon Fields, left-handed pitcher Magdiel Kata, and right-hander Travis Lunsman. All plan to leave. Each met with Mark Kingston this afternoon. Final resolution for each was to leave after one season with the Gamecocks. Fields, a particularly highly ranked recruit and also an excellent football player, but never could play at South Carolina. Cato just pitched the other night, pitched last week pretty well, but guess he didn't see a future there, which is surprising considering they need arms. Same thing for Lunsman. I think that's how that's pronounced. So those players are gone from South Carolina now. 888-898-2525. Let's go to the phones. Love to hear from you. We go to Bruce in Columbia. First up this week. Good to have you with us. How are you? Hello, Mr. Bruce. Bruce? Do we have Bruce? We'll check with Bruce in just a second, see if we can get him on with us. Braves are off tonight. They'll open a series at home against Toronto. Had over 100,000 Braves fans in over the weekend as they open things up. Let's try Bruce again. Bruce in Columbia, welcome in. How are you?
Yeah, sorry about that. I had myself on mute, so I wouldn't interrupt anything.
No problem.
Anyway, I'm don't watch NASCAR racing. I'm not interested in that. And this was the throwback 500 or 400 or whatever it was. Is that what it was that week?
Throwback weekend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And that reminds me of like the Firecracker 500 at Darlington, and how the old story goes that one of the drivers wrecked it. So I think it was a Ford Galaxy on trials or qualifying on Saturday. And so he went down to the Ford dealership, got one off the floor, brought it back, and they stripped it down that night, and he raced and won the race that night. That was stock car racing.
Yeah.
That's old time stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a Clemson fan, and I always kid around with Carolina fans about calling them USC. And maybe the president's becoming a little bit more like a Clemson fan.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that was done before he got here, the changing of the name to U of SC. That was, I think, done before he got here. But you mean as far as confusing it with California?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad.
Well, it would have been something if he had called him Clemson. Now, that really would set the woods on fire.
No, what I'm saying is I'm a Clemson fan, and I just rag the Carolina fans and say, USC is the real, the real USC is California, University of Southern California,
Right.
or SC.
Right.
I always found that's the real real USC.
Hey, we got to run. Appreciate your phone call, but yeah, believe me, Gamecock fans have heard plenty of that from Clemson fans over the years. Back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Overcast this evening with the low temp dipping to 60. Tomorrow, cooler with mostly sunny skies and a high reaching 74. The big change comes Wednesday with a cold front. We only hit 59 as a high, and it'll be a wet day with a 70% chance of showers throughout the day. More rain on Thursday. The weekend looks nice. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
When I served in Iraq and Afghanistan, my buddies and I would do anything for each other. That's important whether you're in a firefight or fighting to regain your life. When I came home injured, there are people I can count on, like DAV.
DAV, Disabled American Veterans, stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
With SRN News, I'm Ron DeRostra. The U.S. is expanding use of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine to children as young as 12. The FDA said today the shot is safe and offers strong protection for younger teens based on testing of more than 2,000 volunteers. Shots could begin as soon as a federal vaccine panel issues recommendations for using the vaccine in the 12 to 15-year-old age range. The operator of a major U.S. pipeline hit by a cyber attack says it hopes to have the service mostly restored by the end of the week. Colonial Pipeline offered that update today after revealing it had halted operations because of a ransomware attack. The FBI has linked the attack to a criminal gang. And the Treasury Department launching its $350 billion program to distribute aid to state and local governments. It will give the U.S. economy an added boost after relatively modest hiring in April. Payments could go out within days. This is SRN News.
Your family. Spring is more than pollen season. It also means it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection at your home to determine any possible issues. Palmetto Exterminators offers the best termite agreement anywhere, but they do so much more. They offer complete pest control, mosquito control, wildlife trapping and removal, and nobody, I mean nobody, can offer you more peace of mind at your home or business. Now, how do I know that? Well, I never tell you to use someone like Palmetto Exterminators unless I practice what I preach. Now, I've been a customer for 19 years, and they are wonderful. My guy, Ron Byers, and his team over at Palmetto Exterminators, they've looked after my family forever. We have no pest control issues whatsoever. But if we did, all it takes is one phone call, and Palmetto Exterminators will fix it. It's pretty simple. Call Palmetto Exterminators and cross pest control right off your list of concerns. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or give my guy Ron a call, 254-5833.
Reichard's Roadside Barbecue is asking everyone who can to go out and donate blood this month. Blood supplies are low and help is needed from everyone. It's safe, it's simple, and it works. Give blood and give the gift of life. That's Reichard's Roadside Barbecue at 121 Shady Branch Road in Leesville, where they invite you in for great food and friendly service. Bring the family and friends for an experience that'll keep you coming back. Stop by or call Reichard's Roadside Barbecue at 803-685-2211.
Are you ready to make your money work for you rather than you working for your money? Dave Ramsey here. Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union, serving the Midlands since 1936. Palmetto Citizens is not a mega bank, so you can count on good old-fashioned customer service and the profits going back to you. Plus, they care about your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org, federally insured by the NCUA.
I'm home. Is the AC turned on? It's hot.
I've got bad news.
What?
Our AC died.
You're kidding me.
No, but there's a bright side. Our contractor says Dominion Energy offers rebates up to $500 if we upgrade to Energy Star qualified equipment.
That's nice, but almost sounds too good to be true.
No, I checked it out. See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Talk here on Sports Talk Media Network. Appreciate the phone call from Bruce, Clemson man, reminding Gamecock fans their plot in life is to be misunderstood and misidentified. I guess it's pretty sad. I'd like to see somebody at South Carolina just come out and declare that we are the University of South Carolina. We are USC. And we don't care what the rest of the world says or thinks. I know in today's world, you got to think about branding and you got to think about, I don't know, worldwide reach and all this kind of stuff. But what's more important? What's most important? The people you serve in your own background or somebody you're trying to impress in Lake Tahoe, I mean, I don't know. I would think that the right branding and the right identification would be the original one on which you were founded, which was USC. And maybe I'm just the old dinosaur in the woods here, but that's how I refer to South Carolina. Always USC. And I'm trying to serve our leaders. I'm trying to serve our readers and our audience. That's who I think about. And not playing partisanship here or favoritism. That's who our Gamecock listeners and Gamecock readers who follow us and listen to the show, I believe that they want South Carolina to be identified as either USC or Carolina or Gamecocks. And I mean, I've chastised many a person for coming on this show, and even contributors like our good buddy Brian Ralph. If you're not used to it, you're not thinking about it, you get into a bad habit. And he's a South Carolina grad, and he refers to Southern Cal as USC. I said, not on this show, not in these borders. USC is South Carolina, like it or not. And that's my law, and I'm sticking to it. And nobody can make me change it.
Sheriff Kornblut has spoken.
Well, you can't make me change it. It's my opinion. It's my law, and I'm sticking to it. What do you got, Pat?
Oh, just wanted to add to what you were saying. Let's not forget, California was not even a state until 49 years after the University of South Carolina was founded.
That's my point. What were the people at South Carolina doing back then? Of course, I know back in the 1800s, the last thing they were thinking about was branding and Twitter and, social engagements and advertising and sponsorships and all that. That wasn't really on their minds, I guess, in 1801, But as time moved on and athletics started to grow, I'd like to go back. I'd have to go back and research some state newspapers from the early 1900s and see if they, in their writing, referred to South Carolina as USC or South Carolina, or just how did they refer to them, Carolina, back then. But whatever they referred to them as, that should have stuck, and that should be what it is today, because the school is still there. It hasn't changed locations, still the same place, built around the horseshoe, and it should be known as USC. Nothing else. USC. They should put out a statement. And I've seen schools do this. And you have too, Chris. I've seen schools put out, this is how you refer to our teams. Okay. And first mention should be this. Second mention should be that. Nothing else is acceptable. And that's what they should do. They should put out, if they were listening to me, and well, maybe, I guess you agree, they were listening to us, they should put out, first reference should be USC. If somebody has a problem confusing it with the school in California, that's their problem. Okay.
The only time that would ever be an issue is if the two schools actually played one another. And gosh, how long ago has it been, Phil, in football and anything else when the two teams ever met on the athletic field? Coastal Carolina, I'll use them as an example. They have in their game notes and in their media guides and everything else, they have the proper pronunciation for Chanticleers, because they have run into so many people who say Chanticleers,
Mhm.
and they've gotten sick and tired of it, and they want it to be branded Chanticleers, and they remind you constantly that's how it's pronounced. But I don't know why that would be such an issue for Carolina to do either.
Who owns the right way to say your
alphabet?
name? No. Who owns the right way? My good buddy, mentor Don Williams, many years ago, chastising me for mispronouncing somebody's name, and he said, "Stupid. There's only one way to pronounce that person's name, and it's the way he wants it pronounced." You know.
Correct.
So you own how your name is used. You own how your name is pronounced. You own how you are going to be identified. And part of it too, is I believe, is going back to weakness, allowing ESPN to dictate how they'll be referred to. You know, you're going to be S. Carolina. Now,
Or Scar. I've seen
or
Scar on the bottom line a ton.
Yeah, that's how we're. So where is somebody at South Carolina in a position of power to say, no, we're not. We're USC. Okay, now you got a problem with it. You can put USC. Your announcers can refer to us as USC in Columbia, and there's USC in Los Angeles, however you want to do it. But we're USC, end of discussion. What, they're going to take away $1 million from you? They're going to threaten, to not let you be on television? Come on. Show some backbone. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number here on Sports Talk. Let's go to Sam in Charleston. Next up here on the program. Sam, welcome in. How are you?
Good. How you doing, sir?
So far, so good.
Good. Hey, I have one more question for you for today. I was listening to a press conference from Shane Beamer last week.
Mm-hmm.
Did he mention about having a fans in stands this fall? And number two is, how do you feel about having open concession stands for people getting food?
Oh, yeah. We got to eat. Sam, we got to eat. We got to eat. So open the concession stands, sell the beer, the pretzels, the hot dogs.
I don't know, Phil. They didn't feed us at the spring game.
I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about the people. The people
I
have to
understand,
eat.
and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm just telling you.
No,
they
Seawells
did not have food at the
Seawells will be there in the fall. Don't you worry. They'll be there in the fall. But yeah, concessions need to open up around all the stadiums. And they will.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Sam. Appreciate your phone call. Tennessee announced, Chris, that they've got Arkansas coming in for a baseball weekend. I think it's this coming weekend. And they're going to have full attendance at Lindsey Nelson Stadium.
I think it's awesome. What is our government? What is Governor McMaster waiting upon here in South Carolina when we see so many other states opening up fully? Why tomorrow night wouldn't be the perfect time to say, all right, Doug Kingsmore Stadium wide open tomorrow night for the Carolina game? I think it'd be a great way to welcome back the fans with the best rivalry in the state. I mean, it boggles the mind how slow we are to react to this with all states around us opening wide open. Georgia's opening wide open. Florida back wide open. You mentioned Tennessee. Why are we so far behind? What are we waiting upon?
Good question. 888-898-2525. Let's go to Tiger Bryan. Long time. Must have been on vacation. Probably went to Hawaii. Tiger Bryan in Lancaster. Listening to us on our great station up there. Tiger Bryan, welcome in. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. I hope y'all are. Man, I tell you, everybody hollers about people making mistakes pronouncing stuff, like that Carolina president. Man, give him a break. Man, come on now. I'm like you, Colin. It's University of South Carolina. I mean, they make South Carolina proud when they win. I mean, the baseball team, the girl basketball teams. I mean, I'm a Clemson man, you know that. But they make us proud to be from South Carolina.
I think his biggest problem, that was a small problem. Okay. That was just, what do you call it? A faux pas. That was just, okay, made a mistake there. The bigger news is that he plagiarized the speech and he admits it. I mean, I think he's got a whole nother fish to fry there than just mispronouncing or confusing California and where he's standing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
sound like he might be a Democrat with Joe Biden.
No, I think he's far from a Democrat, from what I understand. I think he's far from that.
Hey, I'm looking forward to the baseball game tomorrow night.
Yeah, who do you like? Who do you think is going to win?
Hell, whoever scores the most runs.
Well, you
Bad
just
boy.
don't get that kind of analysis anywhere else, especially now that Kenny Mayne is out at ESPN. You see that? Kenny Mayne let go at ESPN.
Yeah.
That's a good one hitting the road. But, yeah, that kind of analysis is what sets you apart, Tiger Brian.
All right. I appreciate y'all, man. I enjoy y'all. And, hey, y'all have a great night. I enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Appreciate you. Kenny
He
Mayne.
brings
Not Kenny Mayne. I'm sorry. Kenny Mayne tweeted out today that he's been kicked to the curb at ESPN.
It's fascinating the amount of people, good reporters, journalists, as I think you and I would agree, Phil, that they have lost over the last 5 or 10 years. I think Kenny Mayne said he was a salary cap casualty. ESPN's losing money left and right. And I don't know we could spend the next hour and 15 minutes of the program debating why they're not as popular as they once were. But I think one of the problems is they're losing quality people like Kenny Mayne. Regardless of, what you think of their programming, when you put a guy on Kenny Mayne who can do a straight job as a reporter and do a super job, but also add a little levity and some fun to it as well, I think he's a gold mine on television. He will not be out of a job if he wants a job, I don't think, for very long.
Yeah, I agree with that. And a lot of things with ESPN, the people they've lost, I think some of the programming decisions they've made, some of their reporting style, some of the people they've allowed to dominate their airwaves just turns off a lot of people. Still, I mean, they're losing a lot of money, but they still make money hand over fist, because check your cable bill every month. You see that little, $8 and something in their regional sports fee. That goes to ESPN. And then, I mean, they still have 75, 80, 90 million subscribers. That's still huge dollars. And then there's the advertising dollars that are flowing in. And of course, they're owned by one of the most lucrative companies in the world in Disney, or ABC Disney. So, I mean, they're not going away, which makes you wonder why a talent like Kenny Mayne is cut loose for financial reasons. You just have to wonder about that. So anyway, yeah, he won't be out of business long if he wants to be back in the business. He'll find something to do for sure. So let me mention some other things. We've got the first round of the NCAA women's golf tournament now underway in spots across the country. The Louisville Regional, where South Carolina is the number 1 seed, the Gamecocks, they shoot 7 over today, so they are in 5th place, but only 9 back of your leader, Florida State. And what's even more amazing for South Carolina is they are where they are, and the best player in the country, or one of the best players in the country, had a bad day. Pauline Racine Bouchard, the number 1 seed, she shot a 79, 7 over par. But her teammates picked her up, and that's what makes a good team. Her teammates picked her up. Anna Pelaez and Matilda Clazy, they're tied for 5th at 1 under par, 71. So they're 5 shots off the lead. Furman's Anna Morgan, playing as an independent, she shot a 1 under par, 71. As for the Clemson, wait a minute, I think we have another state team in this regional. It was College of Charleston. They're plus 17, and they are in 16th place. And then Clemson and Coastal Carolina, they are in the Columbus Regional over at Ohio State. And Coastal is 10 over, tied for 11th. And they are 12 shots back of your leader, Oklahoma. Clemson is in 14th spot at plus 11, just another shot back, plus 11 in 14th spot at 299. And among your individual leaders, Sophia Carlson of Coastal is 1 under par, just 2 shots off the lead after the first round. So this will continue over the next couple of days. The Clemson women's softball team won the ACC regular season championship over the weekend. We got the ACC women's tournament. ACC softball tournament and the SEC softball tournament beginning this week. And South Carolina will play the play-in game against Auburn. You keep up with softball there, Chrissy?
I do a little bit, and I'd be shocked. Was not surprised that Clemson won the ACC, and I would be stunned if they don't win the tournament title as well. They are one of the top flight teams. I don't know once they get into the NCAAs if this is a run to the Elite Eight in, Oklahoma City, where they have the Women's College World Series type team. But considering where they were just 2 years ago, putting shovels to ground to where that program is now, it is one of the more remarkable stories in our state, how quickly that program has turned into a dominant softball team in the ACC.
All right, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Before we get back to your phone calls, I want to remind you, summertime is right around the corner. If you haven't made plans and you're wondering what to do for a week, couple of weeks, maybe longer, check out Pawleys Island, check out Litchfield, Surfside, Garden City, all those beautiful beaches, and call James Smith Realty at 843-237-4246 or visit PawleysVacationRentals.com. Jimmy Smith is the man with the plan when it comes to taking care of your vacation needs. You need something for a weekend or longer. You need a condo, or you need a small house, or you need something like really big with a big porch, maybe house 2 or 3 or 4 families, something that sits on the water, something inland. Tell them what you need and they'll find it for you and they'll make it work. Give them dates. They'll make it work for you. And you'll be very, very pleased. 843-237-4246, your perfect beach getaway. I believe that the Bergen extended family has used the services of one Jimmy Smith to satisfaction.
A month out to our family summer vacation, and my wife and I were actually on Pawleys Island on Saturday. What a wonderful spot in our state. I think it's somewhat a hidden gem is Pawleys Island, because when people talk about coming to South Carolina, most tourists don't come that far south on the Strand. But those of us who live here in the state know full well that if you want a wonderful place to hang out, Pawleys Island, a perfect place to go. I love it down there.
Our poll question of the week here on Sports Talk, let me give you that, and then we'll get back to our phone calls. I want you to know what it is and get your vote in. So, things, they are changing. Clemson coach Dabo Swinney has refused to tap into the transfer portal, John, or schedule summer official visits, things other top programs are doing. Do you think Swinney will eventually change his position?
Yes.
Will he eventually have to cave because others are doing it and having success, and all of a sudden you find yourself falling behind? You say yes to both?
For one, for sure. I'm not sure about if he needs to change his policy on summer official visits. They could probably still get away with only doing those during the regular season. He is not going to be able to maintain that program to the level that Tiger fans expect it to be now by not utilizing the transfer portal, unfortunately. And we didn't have time last week, but I wanted to ask Frank Martin about this. How much further are we away before college coaches strictly recruit out of the portal, as opposed to high school players coming in?
Good point.
I fear we're a lot closer to that than a lot of us would want to believe. But I don't think Dabo Swinney can maintain an elite program 5 years from now if he continues to say, no, I'm not going to use the transfer portal. I just don't think it'll work, because that's the modern era of recruiting. And he and his program have always been sort of on the front line, cutting edge of recruiting. They're going to have to catch up on that side of the coin, I think. Now, as far as the official visits, you follow recruiting a lot better than I. It does not appear to hurt them at all that they make their players wait to come in on an official visit in the fall. I don't think he'll have to change that. He will have to change, though, in my opinion, his policy on the transfer portal, though.
56.4% of 140 votes today say that he will change both. 22.1% say he will change on the visits, but not the portal. 11.4% say he'll change on the portal, but not the visits. 10% say he won't change at all, either thing. So my thought is, I don't know. He's a stubborn, not going to say old fool, because if he's a fool, then he's fooling everybody. But he's a stubborn old guy who believes in his ways. Now, he did put a coach in charge of studying the portal and looking for players. So that would indicate that he would do that. The visits, if you start seeing 5-star guys that you're after taking summer visits in June and committing without waiting until the football season and then sticking with those commitments, then you might better have to take another look at that, especially if primo quarterbacks are coming off the board. And by the time the football season rolls around, it's slim pickings for you. The ones that you live by, like at Clemson, they look at a very small pool of highly elite quarterbacks, if those are all gone before you can get them on campus, you might have to revisit that idea.
Well, and Davo's smart enough, Phil, and he has done a terrific job recruiting and building that program and shaping it into his own image. But you'll remember back during the social justice push, he was a little slow to catch up with everybody else and kept saying constantly he was not going to allow his team to have social justice messages on their jerseys. Remember this? And he realized, this is probably a battle I don't need to fight. It's important to my team. And they made the change. I think he'll realize this is too important to his program moving forward, whether it be both or one or the other. I strongly believe that the portal will be the first of the bunch that he's going to have to make a change, because you're right. If he starts seeing guys transfer that could help his program, and he's not going to take them just because they're transferring from another school, and he doesn't want to promote the transfer portal, I think that would be a mistake on his part.
Just feel it's worth pointing out, y'all are making great points here. Nick Saban at Alabama has always had a similar thought process as Dabo Swinney, amongst other things in regard to transfers. About a month ago, he made public comments when asked about how this transfer portal and the influx of people in the last few months will be on teams such as his. And he was quoted saying, "Is that going to make the rich get richer? I don't know. You can decide that." And now they just got one of the top transfers in the country.
Yeah.
I'm going to butcher his name,
man.
but To'o, star linebacker from Tennessee. So he makes some good points, and so people might want to be careful what they wish for here.
Unbelievable that he's a great linebacker from Tennessee, and he's going to Alabama. The rich get richer there. Back to the phones, 888-898-2525. Recruiting in our next hour. Some Mark Kingston comments. Monty Lee did no postgame Saturday or Sunday at Clemson. Did not reach out to him tonight to come on because I don't know. He's probably not in a very good mood. And what could he say going into the South Carolina game tomorrow? We'll be up at Clemson tomorrow night to bring you some of the feel for the place. We actually won't be in the press box area because they're still limiting access, but we'll be somewhere where we can see into the stadium and into the field in some office adjacent to DKS. We go to Dave in Lexington next here on Sports Talk. Welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Phil. Did y'all not think the president sounded a lot like Spurrier after a football game drinking some Coors Lights? I don't know if he dabbles in the libations, but it sure did sound like it.
Some people have suggested that. I don't know. I've never heard Spurrier mix up the school he was at that particular time after a game. I don't know what the deal was there. I don't want to make any accusations about the state of somebody that I don't know anything about. So I'm going to pass on that. But obviously, they put out a release and they said he had made all these different speeches and leading you to believe that he was maybe tired or something. But I mean, this was the big graduation in the stadium. This was for the School of Business, the Darla Moore School of Business. On top of that, they already blew up that situation. And now you have this on top of that. It's just not good. Not a good look. Not good in reality. Just bad.
Yeah. Well, this name, image, and likeness, I think, is going to destroy the game. This is, a bunch of unknowledgeable adults that are trying to level the playing field, and they think they're going to do more harm to these poor kids than they're actually going to help. I mean, can you imagine some of these star, players that are going to be driving around Mercedes, living off campus, on lake houses with pools to keep up, and then they're going to be making more money than their position coach? They're not going to graduate college. They're going to miss out on the most important opportunity of their life. They're going to go to the NFL, blow out their knee, maybe play 2 seasons, and then have nothing to fall back on. They are hurting these kids, which is crying shame.
Well, listen, I think that I agree with you. People will laugh at you and me because they're saying you're exaggerating things. It's not going to be like that. But and I know, and if people are being honest, once money gets involved with something like this, it corrupts it and you can't stop it. And there'll be something else 5 years down the road that they're going to have to give into. This is not the end of anything when it comes to satisfying what the athletes are being pushed to try to go and get. That's why I believe what the colleges ought to do is just say, look, we're forming a new college amateur league. And if you want to go play pro sports out of high school, you go play pro sports. Don't come to us. But if you want to come play college sports, this is what we can give you. This is what your commitment has to be. And there are no exceptions. You sign the contract, and that's the way it will be moving forward. You can have that decision coming out of high school. We'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Press that button, Home Stew.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Ron DeRockstra. President Biden is defending the expansion of unemployment benefits following a lower than expected jobs report.
The president argues that there's little evidence that Americans are opting to stay at home with jobless benefits instead of going to work. Nevertheless, he's reminding people about the law.
If you're receiving unemployment benefits and you're offered a suitable job, you can't refuse that job and just keep getting the unemployment benefits.
Meanwhile, the Treasury Department is launching its $350 billion program to distribute aid to state and local governments. The aid is from the coronavirus relief package. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill banning local governments from imposing gun regulations. The bill expands a 2011 law that allowed citizens or gun groups to sue local governments for enacting gun restrictions. Now, the bill takes effect July 1st, and it expands that 2000 law in two ways, allowing legal action for unwritten local policies that go against regulation preemption, and forcing local governments to pay damages and attorney fees even if they alter their gun-related policies after lawsuits are filed. Georgia's governor signed a repeal of an 1863 citizens arrest law.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed House Bill 479 Monday, which repealed the state's Civil War-era citizens arrest law. The bill was brought forth as part of the reaction to Ahmaud Arbery's death in February 2020. Arbery was fatally shot while jogging through a neighborhood near Brunswick, Georgia. Greg and Travis McMichael, a father and son who pursued Arbery, and William Roddy Bryan, a neighbor who joined the chase and recorded it on video, are all charged with murder. In signing the bill, Kemp said the old law was ripe for abuse. I'm Mike Gracia.
More at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
Having your own home is awesome, but it's also a lot of work. The good news, finding help for your projects is easier than ever. Introducing Angie, the app that puts all your home care needs at your fingertips. Need a pro to fix that emergency leak? Maybe find someone to build a deck, or even set your seasonal tasks on autopilot. Angie can handle all that and more. Expert pros, hundreds of home projects, clear pricing, and the easiest way to book and pay in seconds. This is Angie, your home for everything home. Download the app today.
Overseas in England, they're getting ready to hug again.
It seems in England, it's going to be time to hug again. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to give it the go-ahead for that much-missed human contact when he announces the next round of lockdown easings in the wake of a sharp fall in coronavirus infections. While hugs between households are expected to be allowed again beginning May 17, Johnson will want to stress that they should be done with care, given concerns about new virus variants that could bypass some of the immunity provided by Britain's vaccination campaign. Charles de Ledesma, London.
On this date in 1940, during World War II, German forces began invading the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, and France. The same day, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain resigned, and Winston Churchill formed a new government. More breaking news and analysis at townhall.com.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge. The American Heart Association says the disco song Stayin' Alive is the near-perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
Oh, you pressed the wrong button. Oh, residual.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Monday edition of Sports Talk. 888-898-2525 is our phone number. Get back to your calls in a moment. Got some notes to update. Recruiting is coming up as well. Going to hear from Martin Truex Jr. on his win at Darlington. Another win for him at Darlington. Another win on the season, man. He's becoming the dominant guy, Chris. He was strong. That team looks strong. And, he's got a lot of money behind him on his team now with Joe Gibbs Racing. And they look, not going to say unbeatable, of course, but when the playoffs come along in a few more months, he's gonna be one that's tough to beat, no doubt about it.
When he opened up that 13-second lead yesterday in the second stage, I was kicking myself thinking back to my pick of Kevin Harvick because I forgot one thing. If you're going to pick a driver at Darlington, it better be out of the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. Phil, that was their 5th win in the last 8 races held at Darlington. Now, Kevin Harvick wasn't bad. He's one of the 2 guys that has actually broken that streak because he's won twice during that span. But JGR has just figured Darlington out. It is their personal playground. And Martin Truex did something no other driver has ever done at Darlington since they implemented the stage. He won both stages and went on to victory lane. No driver had ever won a stage at Darlington and then went on to win the race. So just to give you an idea of just how dominant he was yesterday. And if he takes that car to all the intermediate tracks the rest of the year, you might as well go ahead and hand him the trophy now.
Yeah. They looked really, really good. I tell you what, though, the pass of the race had to be that one late in the race when Larson was trying to catch up, and they went 3 wide. You just don't go 3 wide in the turns at Darlington, and he went 3 wide and split the middle right there. Unfortunately, didn't wipe out everybody involved. Kudos to all 3 drivers for staying in their lane, I guess you could say, and not wiping each other out.
It was funny. He was asked about that pass. He actually went between Ryan Newman and Tyler Reddick, and he said the only hope he had to run down Truex was to pull that off. And I wrote in the story, it was as much brave as it was desperate, and I think that's exactly what it was. He said it was pretty intense, but that's what I felt I needed to do to have a chance to win. It was funny. Clint Boyer made the comment on Fox's coverage of the race yesterday that he was the only one that would pull that off because Martin Truex wasn't going to try that with the big lead. He didn't need to. But Ryan Newman is universally recognized as the most difficult guy to pass in NASCAR. So I guess Larson's thinking, well, if I can't go around him, I'll just go between him. It was an amazing move. It really was. It was probably the play of the race because watching Martin run around in the front of the race all afternoon wasn't a whole lot of fun. But that move in particular was really, really cool.
Yeah, I tell you, enjoyed the Fox coverage. The blimp overhead was a nice addition, and the various shots they had overhead of the stands and coming down pit road gave it a good look. Their camera angles were good. The setting looked really nice. The track looked in great shape from the standpoint of the stands and the surrounding parts of it. The track itself looks really gray and aging, a lot of cracks and a lot of fill in there. And can't wait to see it again in September. We'll do it all again. We're going to have a full house in September once again. We're going to have some traffic jams. I never thought I'd look forward to being in sports-related traffic jams again, but I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to people clogging the roads leading to stadiums and raceways and stuff like that. We've had it to ourselves here for for over a year. I'm more than happy to share the right of way with folks heading to ball games. Let me mention a few other things here of importance on this Monday. And Presbyterian transfer defensive back Oka Imanowori has committed to Wofford. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Larry Penley from Clemson, named as the ACC Golf Coach of the Year. Of course, he's retiring at the end of the season, led the Tigers to the ACC Championship 2 weeks ago. 9th time in his career he's won that. And also from Clemson, Jacob Bridgman, Turk Pettit, and Colby Patton were all named to the All-ACC Golf team. From the Citadel, Jack Castleberry, who's been on the basketball staff the last 5 seasons, has been elevated to associate head coach. And we had FCS All-Americans named today. From Presbyterian, Colby Campbell was named first team. He's transferring. And wide receiver Keith Pearson earned second team. From Furman, tight end Ryan Miller was named to the All-American team. And we had one from Wofford as well, except I don't think I have that one in front of me. I'll have to go back and look that one up. Also, former Clemson player and head coach Etoro Coleman named an assistant basketball coach at North Carolina today. So she'll get to see her old team from time to time. In the baseball polls this week for USC, the only team in the state ranked but slipping, collegiate baseball has them 16, as does Perfect Game. USA Today coaches 21, Baseball America 24, and D1 Baseball 25. As far as the RPI for in-state teams, USC 12, Upstate 34, Clemson 51, Wofford 102, Coastal 115, College of Charleston 154, Presbyterian 198, Winthrop 232, Charleston Southern 261, and the Citadel 269. And how about our boys at Flodar? The Fighting Ed Bethays, Florence Darlington Tech, the Stingers. They win 13-7 today to win the Region 10 championship. They are 44-6. What a season. What a club they have put together. So they are the Region 10 champions.
Mm-hmm.
They played this over at the Lexington Ballpark. Should have gotten over there to see that. Meant to, forgot to, but should have. They defeated Spartanburg Methodist, another pretty darn good program. And so they win the Region 10 Division I tournament 13-7. Congratulations to Preston McDonald and the coaches over there and those players. He's got a heck of a team, Chris.
They are really, really good. And they go on now, if I'm not mistaken, the way the JUCO playoffs are set up, they'll go into the Southeast Regionals now. And should they advance out of that, they would go on to the Junior College World Series. And I don't know the way they have been playing this year, Phil, that you could count them out. This may be one of those special type seasons for Florence Darlington Tech and a chance for them to get back to the Junior College World Series where they participated just a couple of seasons ago. And before we get back to the phones, you were talking FCS football a few minutes ago. Did you happen to see the final? I watched some of this ball game between Sam Houston State and James Madison in the semis.
Did not.
Saturday.
Did not.
Sam Houston State was down 24-3 at halftime at home. ESPN did a halftime feature with their head coach going off the field, and he seemed pretty calm. Well, I understand why. They came back in the second half and won 38-35. They outscored James Madison 35-11 in the second half, and they get South Dakota State this weekend for the national championship.
Heck of a win. Heck of a win.
It was incredible.
Pat, by the way, has told me here that the Wofford player named to that FCS All-American team, fullback Nathan Walker, who makes the team.
Of course.
Also, he tells me that interview that Judy Gatson from Channel 10 had with President Caslin, and she asked him, she writes here, quote, "When I asked President Caslin about criticisms of slurred speech and suggestions that he'd been drinking, he told me he never drinks before those events. Any slurring people thought they heard is just the way he talks. He says he's not the best public speaker, but hopes to rebuild trust." Dude's in a lot of hot water there, Chris, I would say.
No doubt.
At least from a public relations standpoint. I mean, he hasn't done anything here evil. He hasn't done anything illegal. But, I mean, your president of your university he's the face of your university, right? Well, in some cases, maybe it's the football coach. But in most cases, he is the face of the university. He sets the standard, and it depends on what you want and what you're looking for.
Well, and he may not have done anything illegal, Phil, but if the story that we've been touching on tonight about him possibly plagiarizing his speech from an academic standpoint, that might as well be a felony.
Yeah,
that might as well be a felony.
But he's not an academic guy. That's the whole deal. He's a general.
But I think people look at the president of the university on the academic side maybe as much, if not more so, than they do from an athletic perspective. Even though he's the president of the entire university, athletics included.
Mm-hmm.
But you do something like that, that's going to be tough to overcome. If anything will bring Bob Caslin down here in short order at USC, it'll be that.
All right, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Recruiting is coming up shortly, and part of recruiting tonight, Clemson has put out another offer to a star player down in Florida. Tell you about that coming up. Let's go to Alex in beautiful, wonderful, wild, and woolly Murrells Inlet for our next call. Hello, Alex. Welcome in.
Thank you. It is beautiful. I heard your commercial. You're talking about Polly's and Michigan earlier, and yeah, that's why I live here. It is a gem.
Yes.
Love it. And I'm calling the reason is I want to talk about the University USC SC, but about someone mentioned about Clemson. That was talking about the Porta the transfer thing.
Portal John.
And I used to. I don't play poker anymore. I used to play poker, and there are guys I used to play who insisted on playing 5-card stud, no wild cards, and all that. And I think you're in a situation where you've got some, you're playing poker and saying they say 8s are wild, and he's saying, well, I'm not going to play any wild card poker. I think you're going to have to play, with the wild cards, and that's kind of see how this, transfer thing is. You just can't. Yeah, he can get all the best players, but he's going to have to start playing the game, that they're playing now, which is wild card poker,
Okay.
Hello?
I'm with you. Yeah, I hear you.
I'm not, but that's why. Okay, yes. Yeah. But quickly about the Caslin thing.
Yeah.
About Southern Cal, you're saying I agree. Carolina should have stuck to their guns and said USC. I lived in Southern California for about 4 years, and out there, people refer to USC, the University of Southern California, as either SoCal or SC. And I think the USC thing, I guess it was, ABC Sports with Keith Jackson. They said USC, but when I lived out there, it was like, so this guy's going to SC. You're going to game at SC or Southern Cal. So I think it was, kind of a situation which was, was ambiguous. And again, and I don't know who said, well, we're going to have to, we're just going to start going by change to U of SC. We're going to capitulate. And I don't think they should have. I think they probably should have. But I want to get back to the Caslin thing. I'm kind of jumping around. And I went to several different, I went to 3 or 4 different colleges. And the one thing I remember in college, if I learned things. One thing I'd always learn is do not plagiarize. That was held over your head. Do not plagiarize at all the colleges I went to. And Caslin, obviously, it looks like plagiarized. And then he went up there and called University of South Carolina, University of California. He's going to have to go. And I actually supported him, even though he's a military guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to have to go. So I'm just going to get off the phone and listen to your response and love your show. Bye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call. Love Murrells Inlet. Great seafood. Great location.
The best seafood, Phil. Not just great seafood. I don't know that there's a place on the planet with better seafood.
Yeah, Calabash would be maybe a close second.
All right, I'll give you that.
Even though it's across the border. It's only like a mile across the border from Little River. Their seafood's pretty good. But Murrells Inlet, they just have such a variety. So to answer your question or to respond to your comment and all that, I mean, I understand what you're saying. And I don't know if this rises. I mean, I don't know what would incense the Board of Trustees more, Chris, from this whole episode. If they are incensed, I don't know that they are incensed. Who knows what they're thinking? I don't know if the board chairman's going to put out a statement of support or whatever about this whole deal. I mean, are they more incensed that he called South Carolina, California, or that he's admitted to plagiarizing part of his commencement speech? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they hold dear and precious in this kind of situation. The embarrassment alone, might be enough for some of them, if not many of them, to say, okay, we got to make a change here. We got to save face in some form or fashion with all of this. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything from them.
No, I think you're right, sort of hedging your bet here, Phil. But my guess is when you look at sort of the PR side of the coin, you can probably get over the fact that your president perhaps may have plagiarized a speech that he was giving to his graduates. I think the thing that probably would bother them the most is not getting the name of the university correct at graduation. That seems to me, from a public standpoint, maybe a much more egregious mistake. But from an internal standpoint, as an academic institution, you got to hold that same standard that you hold your students to, don't you, to your faculty and staff, that they can't, if the students can't plagiarize the paper, I can't imagine that you could allow your staff to do it either.
I would agree. Absolutely. All right. I tell you what, before we do anything else, let's jump into baseball. And USC over the weekend lost 2 out of 3 to Mississippi State. This Mississippi State team, Chris, and I saw they played 9, they played 11, 20. I saw about 25 innings, missed the first 4 or 5 on Friday night before I could get over there. They're a good-looking team.
Yes, they are.
They look like professional hitters. They got some big arms. Their pitcher on Saturday struck out 13 Gamecocks, and their fielding is really good. They made some excellent plays in the field. They can hit the long ball.
And how good is the top of their order, Phil?
Oh,
they do such a great job of table setting in 1 and 2 that they're big boppers in the middle of that lineup. No wonder they score 3, 4, 5 runs in the opening couple of innings. They put both the games on Friday and Saturday away before most Carolina fans had a chance to sit down in their seats. But the top of their order is as dangerous as any, I think, in college baseball.
Yeah, they dominated the first 2 days. South Carolina, to its credit, came back and played hard on Sunday, and Gamecocks were in that game from the outset, took the early lead, lost it, came back, tied it up, and then won in extra innings. Huge win for them, considering this week, latter part of the week, they're going to announce the 20 teams under consideration for hosting the 16 regionals. South Carolina hopes to be a part of that. Here is Mark Kingston, what he had to say after the win yesterday carried into the evening. It was a 4-hour game, carried into the early evening hours. Here is Mark Kingston talking about that win.
Well, some games are just grit and heart, and that was today. So many guys contributed to that win. So many guys did something that was important to help us win. So, obviously the pitching was very, very good today. Carey and Bosnick coming out of the bullpen were dominant. And then Mendham had a great day at the plate. So it's amazing. You just never know who's going to be a part of it. Heinrich went 2 for 2. That's why you got to have grit. That's why you got to have good attitudes and team attitudes, because you never know when your number is going to be called. And probably the biggest game of the year for us to win right there. Dave?
Hey, Mark, thanks for doing this. I know you always say it's just one game, but how much momentum can this game and winning like you did propel you forward in the rest of the season?
Well, what the hope is it's very similar to that Vanderbilt Sunday win. I think we won 8 out of 9 after that win in a row. So again, it's baseball is a streaky game. You go through ups and downs. You have to keep fighting. We always say it's one game at a time. It's go 1-0 today. But some games, as we say, some games have a little bit more meaning off the field as well in terms of what they can do for a team and its mindset. Tom?
Mark, what's it say about a guy like Jeff Heinrich, who didn't get the start and came off the bench, to come in there and get 2 absolutely massive hits for you guys?
Says a lot. He's had a really good attitude. He hasn't had the kind of year that he wanted to have or that we wanted him to have, but he's had a good attitude. He's had a really good attitude about it, and he still has been working hard and has been waiting for opportunities, and he got his opportunity today. And that's what we tell guys. You can mope about it or not playing, or you can try to stay ready so that if you do get an opportunity, you're actually ready and productive, and then make our decision a lot harder in the future. That's what he did.
John?
With David Mendham, first off, was he benched yesterday just as a coach's decision, or did he have some kind of injury?
No, it was a coach's decision yesterday. With Seitler, not being ready to play in the outfield yet, we had to DH him, which put Wes Clark at first, and then obviously Noah Myers in left field. So it was a domino move where because of some other guys that affected him. But also I thought Wes has been playing pretty good first base. And Mendham was pretty good in the DH spot today too. So it's something else for us to look at.
Yeah, obviously with Mendham's performance today, he reacted to yesterday positively. What did you see out of him and his demeanor from yesterday when his name wasn't on the lineup card through today?
Yeah, he didn't mope yesterday. And it's amazing with him. He's been a guy that if you get on him, if it's deserved, he tends to respond well. I don't know the stats for sure, but a couple times when he hasn't played, after that he played better. So I think it speaks to toughness. It speaks to a guy that loves to play and has the right makeup.
Greg?
Mark, you kind of already mentioned this, but how big was Brett Carey's performance coming in for you and getting the innings you did get out of it?
It was huge. It was 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. So it was huge. That team is tough to strike out, obviously. They have a really good approach. They're very well coached. They're very talented. They're very old. A lot of veteran players. I think they have arguably the best hitter in the country in Tanner Allen. And we did a better job against him today outside of the homer. So he was outstanding. It was deja vu from a couple of years ago. But hopefully this game will end up being a lot more to us than what that game was today.
Mark, looking ahead a little bit, since we won't get you before then, but Clemson game on Tuesday, kind of a weird situation that it's just the one single game after you guys have already won the series. 2 questions. 1, who pitches? And 2, what's the focus going in, knowing that you guys have already won the series, but it's still a rivalry game?
Yeah, well, who pitches? Probably everybody is the answer to that question. Got to be ready for the weekend, no question about that. So you'll see a lot of guys pitch, I would imagine. But it's, and second part of that question is it's still every game we play matters, but you also know that, Clemson, South Carolina, even if you're playing checkers, people are going to be interested in it and we're going to want to win just like they are. So we'll give it its just due.
Rick, you mentioned the grit and the toughness. Just what's it say about the leadership of this group to where you can have some bad games, obviously Friday and Saturday, and they come out and play like you did, and especially get off to an early offensive start with Mendham's home run there. What's it say about the leadership of this group?
Again, it takes the whole group. To stick together, and none of them are perfect. They all have good days and bad days, and they all have days where they're great team guys, and then times where maybe they're not. So they're all human. They're all kids that are still growing up, still maturing. But today was a big day. I didn't shy away from it with our guys before the game. I didn't say anything other than this is a big game for you. You want to be in consideration to host still. It's a game you need to win, and they got checked after today's game. Our RPI is 12. So if they're naming 20 sites that they think are the top 20 sites that deserve to be considered a host, I would think 12 RPI gives you a shot.
John?
That bottom of the 9th inning, how big of a roller coaster was that for you guys in the dugout? I know you talk about maintaining composure, but how difficult is that in that moment? And also, if you could speak to pinch hitting Connersino as well and taking out Malone in that situation.
Yeah, that's, I ran into Malone in the hallway afterwards, and I said, look, man, just so you know, that was not a decision I took lightly. And if I could do it all over again, maybe you don't do that. But in the moment, the left-right matchup, I thought was the right moment. And Sino has had some very important pitch hits for us this year, has sparked it seems like every time he pinch hits in a game, we end up winning the game by hook or by crook. And it's just something about it. And so that was the decision there. We had a lot of decisions to make today, pitching-wise, hitting-wise, defensive-wise. There are a lot of decisions to make. And all you can do as a coach is get information, know your players, and then make decisions that you think are the best decisions in that moment. Some of them work out, some of them don't, and you've got to live with them either way. But you have to be you have to be strong in your decisions and make sure you have good reasons for why you made it.
Phil?
Yeah. Hey, Mark. Going back to the Clemson game, how do you think a win like today's helps your team attitude wise going up to Clemson on Tuesday, avoiding the sweep and getting an exciting win, and also considering the 20 sites are going to be announced later in the week? Does that add a little something extra to the Clemson game, knowing that win would also be impressive for you guys, your resume for the regionals?
And we'll get to the answer after the break. How about that for a tease? We ran up against the clock. So we'll pick that up with the answer. A little bit more to go with Kingston after the break. Recruiting coming up. Martin Truex Jr. coming up as well. And more of your phone calls right here on Sports Talk. Back in a moment.
Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Overcast this evening with the low temp dipping to 60. Tomorrow, cooler with mostly sunny skies and a high reaching 74. The big change comes Wednesday with a cold front. We only hit 59 as a high, and it'll be a wet day with a 70% chance of showers throughout the day. More rain on Thursday. The weekend looks nice. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
What can I possibly do to make this stressful time a little better? Here's one thing I found. It's a small thing, a simple thing, a remarkable thing. Smile. You can share a smile from more than 6 feet apart. You can share it socially with the whole world. In fact, right now, I'm smiling at you. And I hope you're smiling back, because smiling is in you. From PassItOn.com.
With SRN News, I'm Ron DeRostra. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has set Wednesday for a vote to remove Representative Liz Cheney from her Republican leadership post in the chamber. McCarthy says it was clear that he and his GOP colleagues need to make a change. Cheney seems all but certain to be tossed from the number 3 House GOP job after repeatedly challenging President Trump and criticizing his role in the January 6th riot, and she was among just 10 Republicans supporting the House's vote to impeach him the following week. UN Security Council held emergency consultations today on escalating violence in East Jerusalem. It's considering a proposed statement calling on Israel to cease evictions and calling for restraint and respect for the historic status quo of the holy sites. Council diplomats said all 15 members expressed concern at the rising violence, but the United States said a statement might not be useful at this time. This is SRN News.
One thing you hear on The Point all day long, it's be intentional. You hear it from our local and national hosts, and I practice what I preach. So when it comes to my biggest financial investment, my home, well, I'm pretty intentional. I had Allstate Seamless Gutter come out, and they fixed me up. Think about this. You spend between, $800, $1,500 on gutters for your house. That's an intentional investment. It protects your home against so many things that can cost thousands and thousands of dollars later on, things like mold damage or foundation repairs. And while we're talking about being intentional, when Doug and his team came out, did the job on my home, well, we partnered up to help save you some money. If you call 833-5-GUTTER, tell them you want that point discount, that's 40% off your gutters. Make an intentional decision about your home. Protect your biggest financial investment. They do great work. And I won't endorse Allstate Seamless Gutter if I didn't have them come out and do the work on my own home. Peace of mind and new gutters at a great price. That's being intentional. Allstate Seamless Gutter, 833-5-GUTTER. That's 833-5-GUTTER.
Hi, this is Marcia Klayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Hey, honey, I hear they have the COVID vaccine over at True Pharmacy.
Yes, I heard that too. And the pharmacist said they have the Johnson & Johnson one-shot vaccine.
So how do we sign up to get it? I hear they go super quick.
Just log on to their website at truerxsc.com, click on the COVID vaccines link, and choose your location.
But what if there are no appointments available?
They refresh their website every time the state sends the new shipment of vaccines.
Great. I'll put that on my to-do list right now.
Remember, it's truerxsc.com.
Hello, Midlands. It's Jay here with the Melting Pot. Here's a few questions we get when people call us. Do we serve only chocolate? No, we serve 4 courses, but you can get just chocolate or 4 courses of chocolate. No, you don't have to sit at a big table with strangers around you, but you can sit at a big table with friends around you. You just need to bring the friends with you. We also specialize in having lots of private booths with real walls between them, so you won't feel like a fish in a plexiglass tank. Come and see us at the Melting Pot, 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Someone will be right with you.
Just reading more in the state newspaper on the Caslin story, and apparently, and he sent out an email this morning, Caslin did, to faculty and students and staff apologizing, and he lifted a paragraph from a speech from a retired admiral, only the man who was overseeing the folks that hunted down and killed bin Laden. He was in charge of that, apparently.
Oh, no.
And he took a paragraph of, several sentences, great paragraph, very inspirational, and used that in the commencement address and did not credit the author. And of course, that was caught by a bunch of people who've reported on it, and he sent out an apology for it, et cetera, et cetera. And we were talking off air, and you're right, Chris. All he had to say was, hey, I was talking to a good friend of mine, or visiting with a good friend of mine, Admiral, so-and-so, and he shared this thought with me one time, or he wrote this thought one time.
I mean, it would have added to his speech had you said this was the guy who was in charge and oversaw SEAL Team 6 and their takedown of the world's most wanted terrorist. I think that would resonate with college graduates. And I can't imagine Bob Caslin writing this down and not thinking in the back of his mind, you know what, I need to give credit where credit is due here. That's an oversight you can't make.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't make that mistake.
And this is being, of course, reported on now and repeated all across the country. So it's a black eye for his office and for the university that he represents that this has happened, So it's very unfortunate. Yes, Pat.
This also begs the question, if he had not been caught, if Fitz News had not pointed this out, would we still be getting a public apology from him? I doubt it, but who knows?
It's just, the whole thing started with California, right?
Yep.
I mean, would anybody, maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have, would anybody have caught that paragraph, that plagiarism? Would they have caught that? Maybe people routinely check commencement addresses for plagiarism, to see where you got your stuff from. But what brought this first to everybody's attention was when he mistakenly called South Carolina, California, and then he tried to play it off as an honest mistake and said, I owe you some push-ups. Remember, on Friday, he told the crowd, I owe you some push-ups as a way of apologizing for misspeaking. And now it's grown like wildfire, grown like wildfire. All right, let's give you the recruiting report. I promise you this recruiting report is 99.9% mine. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do we want to pay off the Mark Kingston finish?
Yeah. That's right. Because I asked the question. See, my mind is always
pay off
moving.
Your question, Phil.
My mind is always moving in different directions. CB, thank you for jumping in there.
You're quite welcome.
So you heard the question from the great reporter who asked that question. It's my question. Okay, nobody.
Are you sure?
Not stealing that question from anybody else. Nobody would claim it. It's my question. So anyway, you heard the question. We ran out of time. Let's give you the answer.
Yeah, I mean, every win counts at this point, and I think again, every time you play Clemson, it deserves, that game deserves respect because so many people care about it, and so we will give it that respect, and we will try to win the game. We'll use a lot of different pitchers, as I mentioned, but we will try to win the game. And what what effect it has on the NCAA or the decision makers about hosting an NCAA tournament. And it all matters at this point. Everything matters. Every game matters. That RPI is going up and down for everybody every day, every time you play. So you just have to try to win every game. That's what it's all about.
And Mark, sticking with the regional host, just with it coming out Tuesday, how confident in your team's resume are you you'll be one of the 20? And if you are, what do you guys just have to do to keep in that conversation? Is it just simply win and keep winning?
Yeah, I mean, Collins, you just have to keep winning games. You have to win enough games for them to consider you. But the RPI has been the most important metric for a long, long time, and it's hard to ignore 12 RPI for a team that has played our schedule, which, in my opinion, is the hardest schedule of any team all year. If you look at high-end opponents and the volume of those high-end opponents, nobody's played a harder schedule than us, and still has a pretty damn good record that we have right now. So, I'm a little biased, obviously, but I think our kids have done a lot to put themselves in that consideration.
Well, the Gamecocks have the 7th best record in league play at 12-12. Tennessee is 17-7, tied with Arkansas for the best record overall. Vandy 16-7, Florida 15-9, Mississippi State 16-8, Ole Miss is 14-10. So you start talking about SEC teams getting hosts, and all of them with those records want to host. And South Carolina's got the 7th best record, 7 of 16. Would you give the SEC 7 home sites out of 16? I don't think so, especially when you're talking about bringing in people like Pittsburgh, who, is having a special year, Notre Dame having a special year, and other places. It might be a number. They might get crunched by the numbers.
I think that's the case, Phil. We were debating this a week or so ago when we first started chatting about this. And Colin, when he asked the question of Mark Kingston, he said the regional host sites are going to be announced tomorrow. So we'll certainly know, I would assume, before Clemson and South Carolina play tomorrow night. But I think right now the Gamecocks may have played themselves out of that opportunity, because there's no way the NCAA is going to grant 7 host sites to the SEC. They hear it enough every year that they favor the Southeast and the Southwest, Texas, and then obviously our area of the country going up through ACC country. But there's no way that the SEC gets 7 regional sites in my mind. Do they deserve it? Probably so. But deserved and what will actually happen when there's pressure put on the NCAA selection committee, an entirely different aspect altogether. And you're right, Phil. You're looking at different teams hosting, Notre Dame and Pittsburgh, perhaps, teams that we wouldn't normally expect to host a regional. Then you've got to start migrating through the Midwest and get out to the West Coast, where they're playing some really good baseball as well. Arizona, another team that's probably going to host. TCU's definitely, you would think, going to host. So certainly Texas is going to get a host site. So you start running the numbers, and I think South Carolina right now, because of what's happened the last 2 weekends, being swept by Mississippi and then getting just 1 out of 3 against Mississippi State at home, probably has played themselves off the bubble, if you will.
Did you just say they're announcing tomorrow?
That's what Colin asked him during the press conference. He referenced Tuesday.
Oh, I must have been taking a nap when that question was asked, because I was listening. I just totally missed that. So he thinks it's going to be announced tomorrow.
That was my understanding, listening back to Coach Kingston's postgame. That was the question he was posed.
Okay. Recruiting now. Recruiting brought to you by Seawells. A good friend of mine called me today. He was coming through Columbia, stopped at Seawells to have lunch based on, of course, our strong suggestions, said he loved it. Loved it. It was great. It was delicious. Saw some old friends of his in there, had a good time chatting with people, had a good time seeing the Seawells folks, had a good time eating their food. You can enjoy the same opportunity the rest of this week, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2, their daily lunch buffet. It's very, very good, and it's very reasonably priced. Be sure to check it out. And, of course, now that we are getting back into partying mode around the state of South Carolina, slowly but surely, the very best in the catering business awaits you at Seawells. 803-771-7385 is their number. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com for their menu options. So Clemson offered Earl Little Jr., 6 feet 175, one of the top corner prospects in the country. USC had offered him a while back, but they're not in the running anymore. He's a 4-star in the 24/7 Sports Composite, ranked 12th nationally among corners, recently named the top 6 of LSU, Southern Cal, Alabama, Florida State, Miami, and Florida. But the Clemson offer changes things. He cuts Florida State from the 6 and he adds Clemson. He says that was a big offer for him. Their history of developing defensive backs, the culture there, the winning that they have, a team with pedigree. They're in the ACC, not too far from home. All of that is in Clemson's favor. Been talking to Brent Venables and Mike Reed, and they have made the contact with Little regarding the offer. The three of them had a phone call last week for about 2 hours, and that's when the offer was relayed. And he also got a chance to talk about the training facilities and talk about the family tradition and things going on at Clemson. All of that impressed him. Of course, he has a big-time pedigree. His father played at Miami and in the NFL for 7 full seasons and had 18 career interceptions. And like his dad, he plays with an edge. He's a very physical corner. He can play the corner spot. He can play over the slot receiver. He can play nickel. He can even play safety as well. They like his versatility. He says he likes to tackle. You don't hear that a lot these days from defensive backs. He likes to tackle. So he has got official visits with Southern Cal June 11th, Florida September 18th, LSU October 2nd, and Alabama November the 6th. He wants to get to Clemson this summer and also take an official visit in the fall. And, of course, he wants to see how the schools check off the boxes that are important to him, like competing for a starting job, stability in coaches, a solid foundation. Not sure what he's going to major in just yet. He missed 4 games this past season with injuries. He estimated having about 30 tackles and 4 interceptions. Clemson offered defensive end Najalik Kelly, 6'4", 240 of Fort Lauderdale. 4-star, 24/7 Sports Composite, ranked number 11 nationally among strong side defensive ends. Last season, 35 tackles, 21 for loss, and 13 sacks. 2023 quarterback Lenora Sellers of South Florence was offered by Virginia. Clemson target, tight end Holden Stays of Atlanta, committed to Notre Dame. Former Northwestern running back Jerry Howard Jr. transferring from Georgia Tech to Towson. Former Presbyterian defensive back Oka Amanawori announced a transfer to Wofford. Mentioned that earlier. And in basketball, 6'4" Maya Najee of Hopkins, Minnesota, announced a commitment to Arizona. USC was among the 13 schools, and she was also considering her sister plays for Arizona. She's a 5-star and ranked number 7 nationally by ESPN. There you go with the recruiting report for tonight. Brought to you by Seawells. Remember, you can check out our recruiting online all the time on our website, sportstalksc.com, on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. Also, a couple of other reminders. If you lose us over the airwaves, as can happen from time to time, we remind you, you've got several ways to get the program. You've got our live audio feed on our website, sportstalksc.com. Just click on the link where it says listen to Sports Talk. Also, a video feed on Twitter at Sports Talk SC, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And both of those are Sports Talk Media Network. Hit those up, and you can actually watch the goings on here. And also, the podcast every night. The show is in podcast form, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, if you want to go back and listen to things that we talked about in a given night. We got a break? We missed the break earlier? Okay, my bad. We have to hit the break here on Sports Talk. Come back and hear from Martin Truex Jr. Make sure you listen to the break and make sure that you listen to what our sponsors have to say, and then get out there and support our sponsors here in South Carolina, because they're here for you. They're here for us. We need them. They need you, and you need them. We're all in this together, remember. We'll be back. Martin Truex Jr. winning at Darlington easily. Coming up.
There are many things to like about the Carolinas, and one of those is Founders Federal Credit Union Founders Online, the Founders app. And using your Founders cards and digital wallets are just some of the perks you'll have at your fingertips. And with over 30 locations, we're always closed. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com or visit one of our office locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Relax with Founders. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Enjoy life to the fullest with tasty peanuts that pack a lot of flavor. When it comes to eating peanuts, the research is clear. Peanuts improve your health. Peanuts, a snack that gives back. Crack some open today for a nutritious, sustainable, and earth-friendly treat. Be sure to stop by your local grocery store produce section to pick up a bag of roasted in-shell peanuts. Brought to you by the South Carolina Peanut Board. Visit aboutpeanuts.com for delicious peanut-based recipes.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in South Carolina.
This message presented by the South Carolina High School League and the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association.
Hey folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history, and with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Now, by all accounts, except our own personal ones, NASCAR. It was a beautiful day in Darlington. We should have been there. Should have been there. Would have been. Should have been. Would have been. I'll hear. Carrie Tharp will get an earful from me tomorrow night. Would have been. Should have been. But anyway, that's over and done with. We'll be there in September. Beautiful day for racing. Beautiful day to put Darlington on display, Chris. And, you know, there was racing going on back in the pack, even though there wasn't a whole bunch of racing up front.
There were actually some good battles throughout the field. There just wasn't one at the top where the 19 just dominated the race and almost sets, NASCAR back 20 years because of how good he was yesterday. Martin Truex throughout that race yesterday led 248 laps to go on to win the Goodyear 400. He outpaced Kyle Larson by 2.5 seconds at the stripe. And that doesn't begin to tell the tale of just how dominant he was. And after the race, Martin Truex was asked about the new downforce and higher horsepower package. And he uttered some words that all send shivers down the spines of every other driver in NASCAR.
I love low downforce. That's all I'm going to say. I love it. I feel like, especially this year, we all 3 races we won been with this package. So obviously, the guys and girls at JGR are doing a great job. But I just, for me, you look at 16, 17, and 18 low downforce. I mean, we very well could have won all 3 championships. We were right there in all 3 and won a lot of races. So, big fan of this kind of racing, really enjoy it. Today was a heck of a challenge. I did come on the radio one time and say, I'm really surprised at just how slow it feels and how slick it is. I mean, I was leading and driving away from the field, and I'm like, this thing is sliding everywhere. It's pretty amazing just how much this track changes year to year. Every time we come back, it gets more difficult with the the wear of the pavement. And I would say that we probably have less downforce now than we've ever had here. Because I think some of the rules that have changed since 17 or 18, whatever, we've probably got less downforce than we had then, even with building new cars and working on to get better and better and better. Really, really just a fun day, a big challenge, and just got to give it up to my guys for giving me a great car and doing all the little things right.
Did it feel like the 600 in 2016 when you smoked them that bad?
No, it doesn't. But it's funny. It's funny you bring that up because like my brother-in-law was over last night, and we were and Sherry's dad, and we were all talking, and he pretty much told me the reason we're going away from low downforce is all my fault. So I guess I did it again. He'll tell me tonight when I go home, you did it again. You stunk up the show. So sorry, not sorry.
Martin, you and Cole had such great chemistry over the years with winning a bunch of races, winning a championship. Now with James, now that the wins are starting to come, what's changed with the chemistry between you two, maybe from last year to this year?
I mean, honestly, I don't really feel like anything's changed between us since he took over the crew chief position. I think, when he was our engineer, we had a great relationship, and I think that's continued. Obviously, more interacting, since he went from engineer to crew chief when Cole decided to do something else. But, I think last year James did a great job. If you look at everything, we were right there a lot of races. We had some tough luck. We had a lot of second, third place finishes, and we didn't win as many as we should have. But I think I feel like he's done a really great job since he stepped in, and our relationship has been great since day one. I guess if anything has changed right now this year, it's been just confidence. It's his second year. He's more comfortable in the position, and he's getting to go back and look at his own notes and think about the decisions he made last year at a certain track, and not so much going off of somebody else's notes. And really, it's just all about having confidence in your decisions. And there's so many things. I know we talk about simulation and all the technology that goes into setting up these cars to show up at the racetrack, and with no practice these days, every weekend I ask James, I'm like, what do you think? How do you feel about it? And he's like, well, if our 600 assumptions are correct, we're going to be really good. So I think just getting more comfortable in his role, getting more comfortable at making those decisions, especially at times where maybe, if you weren't that good at a racetrack last time, if you have enough confidence in yourself to make some big changes, really go for it, swing for the fences. And he's been able to do that this year. That's probably one of the biggest things I've noticed about it, is the confidence. So I don't think our relationship has changed at all, really. But I think James has really stepped it up and done an even greater job this year.
What is it like when you got such a big lead and that you've got a big lead, and then how does your mindset change when you see somebody in your rear view mirror like Kyle in the left?
Yeah. I think you go from being really calm and like, all right, this is great. Let's, no cautions. Let's take care of this thing, and just click off the laps and, run 95%, leave a little bit out there, try to take care of your tires, stay off the fence, all that good stuff. And then, and then it goes, next thing you know, you have a slow pit stop, this and that. You get caught behind a few cars, lap cars racing and whatnot. You're like, oh man, he's right there. Like I hadn't had to race him all day. Where'd he come from? I better get going. Oh crap, now I'm too loose. I can't go any faster, So just, it's heart rate goes up, and anxiety goes up, and you just try not to make any mistakes.
Yeah. No mistakes for Martin Truex. He's got 3 wins, yet he's second in points to Denny Hamlin. I mean, I know NASCAR they want to reward you for racing hard every race and all your finishes, but a little odd for a guy with 3 wins to be second to a guy with no wins.
Well, and quite frankly, Hamlin has probably been the most consistent driver, which is what NASCAR wants to reward with the point system. But you're right, Phil, when it all boils down to seeding for the playoffs, it is going to rely on those wins. And the other win I was trying to remember, I mentioned that Martin Truex, all 3 of his victories so far this season have come with the package they ran yesterday at Darlington, Phoenix, and also Martinsville. But this is a guy who was off the charts yesterday, and his group has it dialed in. He's working with the relatively new crew chief, but they seem to be clicking on all cylinders right now. And when you look, as I mentioned back in the first hour, Phil, intermediate tracks, 5 of them got the 10 race for the playoff championship, including the last at Phoenix, where he's already won. My money right now is on Martin Truex to win the title, but we got a long, long, long way to go.
That would be a wise decision, I would say. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Pat. And thanks to all of you out there for being with us. We'll see you from Clemson tomorrow night. Gamecocks and Tigers. Have a great night.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America